a song full of the faith that the darkness has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the presence has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chasing rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat and not a weary feet, come to the place where our Father's side. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of this Lord. There will no weary pass till now we stand at last, where the light gleam of a bright star is past. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join in welcoming the chair of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, Holly Mitchell.
Will you please give Shannon Pearson, our soloist, a round of applause? I appreciate my colleague, Supervisor Hahn, knowing all the words. I know all the words too, Supervisor Hahn, but that was not my key. Ms. Pearson took it up there. I was like, oh, I'm just going to stand here and smile because I don't want to run everybody away from the celebration before the party gets started. So again, thank you to the Inner City Youth Orchestra. Give them a round of applause. Take it in. Take it in. Ashe, take it in. Take it in. Today, we are celebrating the final step in the return of Bruce's Beach to the legal heirs of two visionary entrepreneurs, Willa and Charles Bruce. I had an aha moment this morning. And my aha moment was, if I had a superpower, I'd like to time travel. Because if I could time travel, I would go back to a Dodgers game at Wrigley Field on Central Avenue. If you're from Los Angeles, you know what I'm talking about. And see all those amazing, thriving black businesses that filled Central Avenue, that began to lose their vitality, quite frankly, when the Dodgers left Wrigley Field. If I could time travel, I'd want to be in the room hearing Charles and Willa dream about and envision and begin to make plans to buy beachfront property in Manhattan Beach in segregated Los Angeles County. Can you imagine? I would want to time travel and be a fly on the wall to hear that conversation. Because here we are in 2022 where there are fewer black homeowners than during the time when LA County had redlining and there were only certain areas where black people could buy property. So that's why I would want to time travel, to get a sense of what they were thinking, how they came up with the idea to buy beachfront property at a time such as that. And so today, we are here to honor that courageous vision, acknowledge the trials and tribulations that pursued, and in 2022, with these fearless leaders and advocates bearing witness, and all of you, return the property to its rightful owners. Today, gathered, I feel like it's a wedding, gathered before us, before the witnesses, and God, and the ocean, and Charles and Willa, we have on stage Anthony and Sandy Bruce. Anthony is the great-grandson of Willa and Charles Bruce. We have Derek Bruce, who was the great-grandson of Charles and Willa. We have Chief Duane Yellowfeather Shepherd, an extended family member, who's been a representative of the Bruce family. So let's welcome the Bruces back home, an extended family and cousins who are in the audience. Bruces, wave your hands. Wave your hands, Bruces. There are other very important people and dignitaries who I will introduce shortly. 100 years ago, right here where the county's lifeguard station is, again, there was a black-owned beach. And if you haven't seen the new historically accurate plaque that sits on the walkway, please go look so you can see the images of what the experience was when the Bruces were here and created an intentional space for community and recreation and gathering. I'm clear that today we are correcting but one family harm, and this property had unique circumstances that allowed us as the county to return this property. And let's be clear, by no means does this fully repair or solve the harm that government action has rendered upon an entire population and generations of people. We are mindful of how all land on American soil was originally owned by my indigenous brothers and sisters, and we also acknowledge them and their sacrifices that allow us to stand here today to begin to right this specific injustice. So thank you to all who made today happen. You're going to hear from a few speakers today, but there are countless others who, without their support and vision and courage, we would not be here today. So I want to take a moment to acknowledge just a few. And you get in trouble when you start naming people, because you leave somebody out. So please charge that to limited time and not my heart. It was many hands that came to the table to make this happen. As a county representative, it really is important that I acknowledge the county, quite frankly, bureaucracy and infrastructure that we had to propel into motion to get us here today. Our gracious host, the LA County Lifeguard Department, led by Captain Lester. The LA County Anti-Racism and Diversity and Inclusion Initiative, led by Dr. D'Artagnan Scorza. The LA County Council, the dedicated legal team, including Tom Fawnin, and whose work made this possible today. And our acting county council is here with us as also. The LA County Fire Department, Chief Darrell Osby and Assistant Chief Tony Maloney, and the LA County Fire Foundation. The Los Angeles Registrar Recorder, who's come personally today to deliver the deed to the Bruce legal heirs this morning. LA County Beaches and Harbors, the LA County Internal Services Department, the City of Manhattan Beaches Historical Advisory Board, Mitch Ward, former mayor of the City of Manhattan Beach. Our state representatives, many of you here and gathered with us when the governor came, issued his apology for the theft of the land and signed the bill. And so we are joined here today by Senator Steve Bradford, author of Senate Bill 796. The visionary, courageous leadership of Justice for Bruce's Beach and the global coalition of supporters who fought for years to make today a reality. Lastly, members of Team Mitchell, Isela, Frederica, Claudia, Lene, and I know Supervisor Hahn will acknowledge her team. This has been, as our brother said, a marathon. This was not a sprint. And it was a marathon that a number of people have taken the baton and passed it and passed it and passed it to get us here today. So at this point, I'd like to punt to my fellow colleague, my brother in all things legislative, the senator from the 35th Senate District, chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, Senator Steve Bradford.
That's long overdue. I also want to recognize Supervisor Janice Hahn for your help and leadership in making this day possible. Just a few weeks ago, the LA County Board of Supervisors voted 5-0 to complete the return of Bruce's Beach to the legal heirs of Charles and Willa Bruce. I want to congratulate those 5 badass women. I'm extremely proud to have been the author of Senate Bill 796 that enabled the county to do the right thing and return this property back to the great-grandsons of Charles and Willa Bruce. Unfortunately, SB 796 and this transfer of land will not reverse an injustice that took place almost 100 years ago, but it represents a bold step in the right direction. It represents a template for other states to follow, to fight, to repair, and ultimately salvage what was lost, not just here in California, but every place where blacks were not given an equal opportunity and allowed to thrive. Places like Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, Rosewood, Florida, Hilton Head, South Carolina, and let's talk about California, Allensworth. This transfer will allow the Bruce family to realize generational wealth, which they have been denied for generations simply because they were black in America. We cannot change the injustices that were done over the people in the past, but we owe it to the future generations to eliminate structural and systemic racism that still clearly exists today. The Bruces were wealthy enough to buy property right here in Manhattan Beach and decide to make it an oasis for black families who were not allowed to recreate at white beaches. They were harassed and threatened not only by their neighbors, but by the KKK. Ultimately, the city lied and used eminent domain to commit a crime and steal the land away from the Bruce family. Let me be clear. America has stolen and denied more to African Americans than we've ever looted or burned. Let's be clear about that. They have stolen and denied more than we've ever looted and burned. It is a bittersweet day. While this celebration and commemorating the return of land that was stolen, it's also a call of duty for each and every one of us. If we see injustice, do not stay quiet and do nothing about it. Do not marinate in complacency, thinking that racial justice is just part of history and does not have ramifications for today, because it does. If the ripple effects of slavery and slavery itself did not exist, then we would not be here today correcting this wrong that has lingered for so long. I've been asked, is this reparations? And I say, hell no. This is returning property that was rightfully owned by a family. Reparations is what has been promised, what has still been denied, and what is owed to the descendants of slaves. It is also important to mention before I close that SB 796 was passed with bipartisan support in both houses unanimously with not a single no vote. This lets all of us know how pressing and important this issue is, that is actually, as I should say, and how blatantly apparent of the wrongdoings that were done. Despite all the support that got us here today, it should not be missed on anyone here that the city of Manhattan Beach is still yet to apologize for the atrocities that were committed, not only to the Bruce family, but those other African American families that own property right here in this area. It's time for them to crawl from under their rock. I would be remiss if I did not recognize the efforts of former Mayor Mitch Ward and Ms. Kavon Ward for breathing life and attention to this racial and hateful crime. Thank you for having me here today. I'm proud to stand here for this moment, but more importantly, for this movement that will have a generational impact and national impact. Thank you very much. And I want to recognize my co-author, Al Marsucci.
Get it, Bradford. Bradford was on fire. Get it, Bradford. Get it, Bradford. So yes, A, let me say elections matter. B, policymaking isn't a solo sport. Thank you, Al, and to all of the numerous co-authors that signed on to SB 796. We appreciate that very, very much. I'm thrilled to represent the district that I was born and raised in, and the rich cultural assets that call the 2nd District home. Community events and celebrations such as this one, I think, creates opportunity for us to acknowledge the role arts and culture plays in our everyday lives. And so I'm excited to present to you an amazing opportunity for you to bear witness if you have never seen the young dancers. And I love it because they look like me. From the Debbie Allen Dance Academy, whose mission is to use dance, theater, and performance to enrich, inspire, and transform the lives of their students and all of us who have the privilege of witnessing them. Accompanied by, I believe, not. Please welcome the dancers from Dada.
It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. Lord, there've been times that I thought I couldn't last for long. But now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes it will. Thank you. I appreciate you.
I don't know about all of you, but when I would wake up on Sunday mornings at home and that song was playing, I knew that there was some perhaps pain and heartache going on. And Brother Cook, all those years ago, all these years later, the words are so powerful and meaningful. Again, thank you, Dada. I mentioned earlier that, you know, it's a marathon. Not only is it a marathon, it's a baton pass. And so I am proud to be here standing now as the new county supervisor representing Manhattan Beach as a result of redistricting that took place. But Senator Bradford referenced the 5 sisters who have the responsibility of governing the 10 million residents of LA County. And it was my honor when I joined the board about a year and a half to be asked by my sitting colleague to join her on this effort around returning Bruce's Beach to its rightful owner. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce, I've got lost here in my notes no, I was trying to figure out if I'm supposed to bring Dean up before you, Janice. I know your name. I ain't been lost it that bad. Just a change gonna come. It's sitting on me heavy. A change. It's here, and more will come, right? It is my absolute pleasure to bring forward the supervisor who started this movement on behalf of all of us and the Bruce family, Supervisor Janice Hahn.
Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell. And yes, redistricting brought change. Change is going to come. And it is so appropriate that you, Holly Mitchell, are now the supervisor of this district, and Manhattan Beach is in your district, and you are here today to preside over this historic moment. I first want to acknowledge the first peoples of this unceded land which we occupy currently, and with respect to their elders past and present, we recognize the Chumash, the Quiche, the Serrano, the Tataviam, and the Tonga as the original stewards of this land, air, and water, and provide our support as they continue to lift up their stories and cultures. I always tell people that I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't know the story of Bruce's Beach for most of my life. I grew up in Los Angeles County, and I learned to swim in the ocean a few blocks from here. But I didn't learn about what had happened to Willa and Charles Bruce until 2020, when I heard about a protest taking place at the park up the street, led by a local resident, Kavan Ward. And I know people had been trying to tell the story, but I had not been listening. And it was her advocacy that got my attention. She's the reason I pulled out the plot map and found out that the very property that Willa and Charles Bruce owned now sat under our county lifeguard training facility. For me at least, she is the reason this is happening today, and I'd like to give her another round of applause. And when I met with my county lawyers last year, and I see Tom Fonen's in the audience. Hi, Tom. And I said that I wanted to return this property to the Bruce family. They told me nothing like this had ever been done before. No government in this country had returned land that was taken from a black family unjustly. They said the work ahead of us would be unprecedented. And today, we're sending a message to every government in this nation confronted with this same challenge. This work is no longer unprecedented. We have set the precedent in the pursuit of justice. And today we are returning stolen land for the first time, but it will not be the last. And today, I believe, I haven't seen him, but I think in the audience is Marcus Coleman. Hey, Marcus. Who's a member of the Fulton County Reparations Task Force in Georgia, the first county-level task force of its kind in the country. And they hope that they will also be able to do something similar to what we're doing today. And in Marcus's word, if there is property that should be returned in LA County, you know there is property that should be returned in Georgia. Today, I'm thinking of Willa Bruce, who never gave up on getting this land back for her family. I'm thinking of her children and her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren who were denied the generational wealth and opportunity that should have been theirs. I'm thinking of her great-grandsons, Derek and Marcus Bruce, who today become the owners of some of the most beautiful beachfront property in the world. And I'm thinking of the generation of Bruces to come, whose lives will be forever changed because of the wrong that we are setting right today. We can't change the past, and we will never be able to make up for the injustice that was done to your great-great-grandparents and great-grandparents, Willa and Charles, nearly a century ago. But this is a start.
Powerful. We've got a scroll from the county. Bradford always gets jealous when he sees the county scrolls because they're pretty spectacular. Come on, Janice. Have them come up here. Chief Yellowfeather, if you join us. And who do you have?
I have Michael.
Michael,
Oh, and
Anthony,
and Derek.
and Derek. If you all would join us. Bradford, you want to come up just for the photo? And we won't read the entire scroll, but it talks about in the early 1900s, Charles and Willa owned lots 8 and 9 of Peck's Manhattan Beach Tract, Block 5, and operated a successful seaside resort that welcomed black beachgoers from all over the region. And from 1995 to 2022, the County of LA owned part of the property commonly known as Bruce's Beach. It talks about what happened in 1924, and it brings us, all right, whereas in 1924, the Manhattan Beach Board of Trustees condemned Bruce's Beach through eminent domain. Documents show the decision was racially motivated to drive out the successful black business and its patrons. The city of Manhattan Beach condemned and demolished the Bruce's property in 1929, and the Bruces left Manhattan Beach. And whereas in 1948, the city of Manhattan Beach transferred Block 5 to the state of California, on April 20th, 2021, the LA County Board of Supervisors voted to support Senate Bill SB 796 to eliminate the statutory restrictions prohibiting the county from transferring the property back to the legal heirs of Charles and Willa Bruce. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Los Angeles hereby approve the transfer agreement on June 28, 2022, accomplishing the objective of the Board and SB 796 to rectify this historic injustice that was done to the Bruce family. It was adopted by order of the Board of Supervisors of the County of Los Angeles and is signed by all 5 members of the LA County Board of Supervisors. So we move over? I was moving over so people could move. we talked about, wedding ceremony, so that was part of. Now here's the real legal document that ties the Bruces to this land, just like weddings. I'm sorry, Janice, I won't. I'll stop. Do you all know the name of the person who you have to go to if you need a business license or a birth certificate or a marriage license? It's a common theme, interesting. Or if you buy a piece of property, if you have to get the deed. Do you all know who that is? The registrar recorder. Do you know who the registrar recorder is for LA County? You're going to meet him right now. Dean Logan, please join us. Again, this has been a multi-step process. You heard in the reading of the resolution, we had to get permission from the state to transfer the property. That's where SB 796 came in. It took multiple motions from the county. You heard that list of people I thanked. Our county council is here. The county CEO is here. It took a lot of hands. After the advocacy and the effort to bring it to attention, then the actual sheer mechanics of doing this, you don't even want to know. Trust and believe. But we're going to celebrate and have the party today. Dean is here to actually hand the deed, the title, to the family. Mr. Logan.
Thank you, Supervisor. It's truly an honor to be just a small part of this ceremony. I'm just here to recognize the historic nature and to put into or to acknowledge that it has been placed into public record the significance of this event. So this document, while it does not have the beauty of the scrolls that were just distributed, it's a bureaucratic document, but it is the official record that will show the transfer. It symbolizes for all of us that it is always the right time to do the right thing. And this will be held in perpetuity in public record in LA County as a record of what has taken place today. This was recorded on July 15th, 2022 at 8 a.m., and it is my honor to be here to present a certified copy to the family.
Bradford said, don't lose it. Thank you, Dean. To have a deed, like property paid in full, I don't know how many of us going to live long enough to see a piece of paper like that. Again, we are here to celebrate and honor the Bruce family, and everyone who has spoken today has acknowledged that this just didn't happen overnight. This was a movement, and movements begin with people who have an idea and courage and passion to say something over and over and over and over again until they catch the ear and attention of people, the media, of policymakers. And for that, we welcome to the stage to provide remarks the founder of Justice for Bruce's Beach, activist Kavan Ward.
Justice for Bruce's Beach. Thank you, Supervisor Mitchell, for putting this together. Thank you, Supervisor Hahn, for your remarks and for your truth-telling. Can we just take a moment to feel the energy of the ancestors present here today? Can we just do that for a moment? The ancestors are here. Feel it. Appreciate it. I had a vision which has been fully realized today. A vision that what was once taken from a people be returned. A vision that something that had never been done before in history happened for the first time. I had a vision. Yes, it was an audacious vision. But the manifestation of that vision is proof that God is real and almighty. This is bigger than anybody over here. Today I stand here in full gratitude. Grateful that the Most High chose to use me as a vessel to lead this movement. I am grateful for my past and for all of the challenges and hardships that I had to endure to get here. But in retrospect, I see that it was all necessary as it was preparation, a prerequisite for me to understand the assignment and to complete the assignment. I am grateful. I am grateful to everyone on the stage, everyone in the community who had faith in my vision and who courageously played a part in making today happen. Senator Bradford, I know it was not easy getting all of your colleagues on board. So I thank you for your persistence and for your skillful persuasion. Thank you for not taking no for an answer. I am grateful to call you an ally in this fight to attain reparative justice for the Burgess family and for all other black families who have had land pillaged from them in this state. Shout out to the Burgess brothers back there. I want to thank Attorney Fothery for his brilliance, his drive. While other firms and attorneys were looking for ways to escape this fight, you stepped in and stepped up and did what others lacked enough grit and faith to do. Thank you. I want to thank the young adults in this community who helped organize around this movement, specifically Ronald Clinton and Caitlin McQuan. The city of Manhattan Beach still has a debt to pay to the Bruce family. And I wish them the best of luck should they choose to take on that task. I want to thank South Bay and LA residents who had boots on the ground with me from the beginning, who helped plan and implement activations, who called in to their representatives, urging them to pass SB 796. I thank the people. I say power to the people. I want to thank Patrice Cullors for all of her strategic and emotional support. She is a blessing to this movement. She does it behind the scenes, does not ask for credit, but she has been more helpful than so many people realize. So thank you, Patrice Cullors. I want to thank BLM Los Angeles for showing up for our activation in 2020. I want to thank Autumn Breon and the Black Fist Brass Band for supporting us whenever we needed and for providing artistic healing. I want to thank the Black and Indigenous Liberation Movement for calling me in to have some of the most courageous conversations about land reclamation, for standing in solidarity with us, and for not succumbing to whataboutisms and the resistance's ploy to divide and conquer. I acknowledge the natives. I am sorry that the Tonva people had to deal with so much insolence during this process. Lastly, I want to give a special thanks to two phenomenal black women who has been with me fighting this fight from the beginning to the end, Patricia Bruce and Katisha Lobel. Please come to the stage. These two women have been here from the beginning. They didn't abandon the movement when things got hard. They didn't use the movement for their own personal gain. They didn't infiltrate and try to sabotage the movement. They didn't jump in on the bandwagon after the work was already done and claim victory for work they didn't do. They believed in my vision and worked behind the scenes doing the hard work despite the lack of recognition, and even though they don't stand to get a dime for what is inherited. Today, I want to, at the very least, give these phenomenal black women their flowers. Please, Maria, come over here with the flowers. And I'll close out by saying to the Bruce family, you are welcome. Thank you, everybody. Power to the people.
Stand here, let's grab the picture.
Thank you so much. I am Patricia Bruce Carter, and I just want to thank everybody who's here right now. But first and foremost, I want to thank God. I want to thank Willa and Charles for the vision. I want to congratulate Anthony, Derek, Marcus, Michael. Congratulations to my cousins. Love you guys. I'm so filled right now. But first and foremost, I want to thank Kavan. Yes. This beautiful chocolate girl left Harlem and came to Manhattan Beach. That's right. Followed her ancestors' dream, voices in her head. This land was empty all this time until this beautiful girl came here and said, no, something has to be done. So nobody else can take credit but her. She came, within a year, she did what she had to do to get this property back to the proper owner. And with that, I want to say to all of my family, my brothers and sisters, everybody who's here right now, I love you. I love my cousins. Thank all of you guys. Thank everybody who supported it any kind of way. Love you all.
Again, thank you to Justice for Bruce's Beach. Again, these aren't moments, they're movements, and there is a difference. As evidenced by our guest here from Fulton County. These are movements, not moments. And thank you again, Kavan. As I said earlier, there were many hands that brought this to fruition. Next, we'd like to hear from someone who I'm sure everyone here, just like Kavan, knows and has heard repeatedly around this issue. You know, they have both been not just in the forefront, but behind the scenes, having those important conversations, continuing to breathe life into this movement. With that, let me introduce an elder to the Bruce family and the man who's played a key role as their spokesperson for many, many months, Chief Duane Yellowfeather Shepherd.
Thank you. They're here. They're here. And they're smiling. Back on July 14th, 2018, a crazy old man with 200 Bruce family members stood up on the top of that hill in front of many Manhattan Beach dignitaries and my family and declared that this was sacred land and I was going to do everything I could to get it back, repatriated to the family. Everybody thought I was crazy. I thought I was crazy too. But here we are. God makes a way out of no way. We didn't know who then or how then. All we knew is that God was going to make a way out of no way. And so he said, Chief, we're going to need some veteran leadership here. Someone who's going to stay pure to the movement, no matter the threats, the lights and the camera, the monetary gains. Someone had to stay the course no matter what. He said, I want you to do it. And I'm saying, why me? He says, because you love your people more than anything else in the world. The greatest thing a chief can do for his people is fight for them to the death. Now, I was afraid the family wouldn't allow me to continue this fight when I met them. It's been going on for a couple years now. because they didn't know me, and I didn't pretty much know them. But I think they realized I was resigned to continue this fight for the future of our children and our country and for our family. That I was going to stay pure for justice for Charles and Willa Bruce and the Bruce family. And gratefully, they allowed me to continue to provide the leadership that was needed in order to pull this together. You don't win a Super Bowl with 55 rookies. You got to have a coach who can see the skills of these rookies and point them in the right direction toward the goal, to that field goal out there, and say, do the best job I know you know how to do. And then the ones that can't do it, they got to go. They got to sit on the bench or get traded. I'd like to acknowledge the Gabrieno Tongva people whose ancestral lands we stand on, and are grateful to my brother tribe for allowing us this 1 acre of land for our family. I'm going to thank the Creator first for his guidance and those he sent to support us in our quest for justice. He is the only one that deserves credit here. But for him, none of us would even be here. I'm going to thank my lovely wife, Namya, who stood steadfastly and patiently, and I emphasize patient, with me every up and down and through this process. My children, my mother Beverly, and my brother Jason, who had my back no matter the threat. And we had them. I'd also like to thank my tribe, the Pukasset Wampanoag tribe of the Pokanoket Nation, for loaning me to this battle and allowing me to leave off my duties of leadership to focus on strategy. I'm thanking Marvin King, my cousin, for introducing me to the Charles and Willa Bruce mystery. My cousin Pat Bruce for connecting me to Anthony and Kevon Ward. Our business manager, Donnie Wilson, for making sense out of all those offers. And I mean a lot of them. Yeah. And our entertainment attorney, Sloan White, for her capable and valuable advice. Gabrielle Shepard and Plan B Productions for giving us the opportunity to make sure our story is told into perpetuity on the worldwide media stage. Mayor Mitch Ward, I love you, brother. And Governor Newsom, even though you're not here, you got my vote for president. And I want to thank the international media outlets, all of you big and small, who picked up this story and kept it out there. Because no matter how loud we screamed, unless you picked it up, put it out there, nobody was going to hear us. You made it so Manhattan Beach could no longer hide behind a false narrative of brotherhood. Thank you to the boards of supervisors for never wavering and giving us justice. Supervisor Holly Mitchell and her staff, our archangel and my honorary tribal sister, Supervisor Janice Hahn and her staff. Assemblymember Al Marsucha, who was right down front, who was the first of any of the politicians to step up and show concern for what we were trying to do. Senator Steven Bradford, man, what a soldier. For steadfastly and tirelessly seeing that bill through to victory. Every vote in every chamber, in every committee, all the way up the chain of political structure was overwhelmingly bipartisan and unanimous because of that man there. And finally, my right hand. George Father III, my quarterback, who stepped up and without reservation said, I am going to do for this family what I don't think anybody else is capable of doing. I'm going to sacrifice everything, my reputation, my business, maybe my life, to help these people. Thank you, Coach. And one last one. To my bold and capable captain and cousin, Anthony Bruce. Thank you, cousin, for believing in me and trusting me to give the leadership and guidance that we needed to gain victory here. The people of California of all walks of life have unanimously spoken and have said that racism and bias and patriarchy and misogyny and legal cover-ups will no longer be tolerated in our state. This is a victory for the faithful and the oppressed in this country that has been long in coming for 450 years. This time it took more than a village. It took all of us here and all of us out there, standing toe-to-toe with racism and beating it down. Power to the right people.
You all didn't know you were going to hear people with such oratory brilliance when you came today. You thought you was going to sit at the beach and have an emotional connection to Charles and Willa. Look at that. Thank you, Chief Yellowfeather. We appreciate you. Let me acknowledge, have you all seen this masterpiece in the making during this whole process? We want to thank Shelly Bruce. There you go. Community artist who's going to document today in a painting. Thank you. Thank you. We are bringing arts into this space to fill out our experience. Could all the Bruces stand on the stage in the audience? Every Bruce member. We've heard cousins and brothers and second cousins and cousins and them. Everybody give a round of applause for the Bruces. So we've heard lots of reference to Anthony, and we thought it appropriate to round out today's experience to ask truly on behalf of Charles and Willa and everyone here whose surname is Bruce, for you to come forward and bring comments to tell us how you really feel after receiving the deed. And we appreciate you being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Bruce.
Thank you for coming. This historic ceremony in our American history. In the Bible it reads as so, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good. He sends rain on the just and on the unjust. This is what God does. And because of this, I want to simply acknowledge a few people. Charles and Willa Bruce, Belinda Bruce, Bernard Bruce, Sandra Bruce, David R. Hudson, Grandma Teresa, Uncle Norman, Jason, Garrett, and Tyler Rinder, Cliff Noakes, George Fothery III, Munger and Sidley, Austin LLP, Christopher Brown, Saxon, Cropper, Sykes, Lisa Richardson, Pat and Vivian Bruce, Chief Duane Yellowfeather, Aho, Namya Shepard, Zakia Roberts, Jason Jones, Kavan Ward, Donnice Wilson, Gabby Shepard, and Greg Goldman, Willie LaVorce Gray, Jenny Woodfield, Faith Gerhardt, Carmen Santiago Vega, Danny Colomb, Ken Fuller, Pastors John Eichels, Mike Sprott, Mike Grover, David Spencer, Dave Dahmer, and finally, Chun Shik Kwag, Gomatsumnida. Branch Manager James Davis at Securitas, the whole Kiever family, Frank and Louise Card, historian and author Allison Rose Jefferson, Tony Scott, Lance Powell, Glenda Hunt, John Schwab, Sophie Jackson, Michael Jackson, Dennis Middleton, CPA, Stasia Washington, Managing Director of First Foundation, Supervisor Janice Hahn, she's right there. Governor Gavin Newsom, thank you. Retired Mayor Mitch Ward, okay. Fire Chief Darrell Osby, Senator Steven Bradford, Ebony Martin at Greenpeace, Kate B. at CNN, Shah Zareen, ABC News. Judge Mitchell Beckloff. Debbie Maudlin, ABC News. Judge Mitchell, Supervisor Holly Mitchell. Frederica McGee. Joaquin Coulter. Seppi Esfalani. Isla Garraway. Zoe Kirkland, KPCC. Don Lemon, CNN. Tempest from BNC, Color of Change staff. Alexis Holiday and Harry Smith. Iselia Gracian. Wendy Stallworth Tate, Amazon Studios. Rosanna from LA Time. Rashid Hamid. Mano Yeda. Celestina, Quebec. Matt Marino. Armand Akbali, CBC Radio. Aaron Finley. Faija Malik. Sasha Hanuman. Leo Stallworth, ABC 7. John Oliver. Melanie Hillman, producer for ZDF German TV. Justin Covington, KBLA Talk. Jonathan Gonzalez, NBC4. Michael Levitt, NPR, All Things Considered. Nelson Cacciatore, Catherine Fair. Taylor Terragano, Spectrum News 1. Mark McDermott, Easy Reader Newspaper. Ray Richardson, The Wave. Candy Lewis, Kyla Coates. Denise Guerra, Yukiko Omura, Assemblyman Ao Muratsuchi, Guru Vishnu Niyapane, Sloan Whiteside, Janet Allen, school psychologist at Mira Costa High, Ben Ashford on Mixcloud, Andrew Lewis, Susan B. Devermont, Curtis Bunn, Monique M. Candiff, Joseph Ryan, Susan Hadley, all the members of Bruce's Beach Task Force, Julia Nutter, Isha Shepard, Sabina with GMA, Candace Crone, CBS, Elka Warner, Kevin Cody, Spring Hill Productions, David Miliband, President and CEO of International Rescue Committee, Laura Carespi, D'Artagnan Scorza, Rose Melody and Nick Rivera, Debbie Yunes, Claudia Gutierrez, Robert Colazzo, Randy Mintz, Janice Kaiser, The Wave, and Kenji Nakazawa, Tom Bruce, Alelia Bundles, Madam C.J. Walker Legacy Center, Lisa McLean, Allie Hales, Day U. Thank you so much. Because of without God, we would not be here today. And finally, most importantly, thank you all. God bless.
That was sheer brilliance. Because when you acknowledge the media and call them out by name, you know they're going to cover your story forever, right? Brother Anthony, we all learned a valuable lesson from you today. This was supposed to be about celebration. This was supposed to be about giving thanks to all of the hands that have been a part of this process. You know who you are. Whether we've acknowledged you or not, you know who you are, and you know the unique role you played in making this historic opportunity happen. And on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of the state of California, and on behalf of the Bruce's Beach, Bruce family, Justice for Bruce Beach, all of the advocates, Mitch, and on behalf of the Manhattan Beach City Council, you're welcome. We thank you for the work that you have done, and we see you, all of you who contributed in some way, large or small, to making that deed and this transfer possible. I believe in the tradition of all indigenous people. We started with music, and we're going to end with music. I present to you again the Inner City Youth Orchestra. Was that magnificent? And please thank my sister from ASL Pro Bono Company with that rendition of Amazing Grace. We invite all of you. First of all, let me thank the brave people at the Bruce's Beach Manhattan Historical Society, their board, Ela Garraway, Kristen Drew Long, Lindsay Fox, and Tyler St. Bernard, for their painstaking work at getting at the truth and providing us all of the information needed for the amazing, new, accurate, spectacular plaque. So we really invite you all, if you have not seen it, before you leave today, please go see the plaque right behind us. And again, thank you, Charles and Willa, for having a vision, and thank all of you. Good day.